Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm E.G. Stone and this is not a Wednesday Reads book review video. However, it is a book review video. You might be wondering why I'm saying this, because it's Monday and I'm supposed to be doing an author interview, but I smartly ran out of backlog and won't be talking to people until later this week. So, oops. To remedy this, because I still wanted to get a video out and help market some other people's works, I decided to speed read a book and do a special edition book review. So I I read the book called Dead Gods Do by Matthew Gilbert, who I interviewed a few weeks back. If you might have seen that one, he just recently had his book launch. I think it was on the 25th of June. Sounds right, but I could be wrong about that. I'm just not entirely sure. Anyways, so he did this book release and I got a copy of his book, and I've been meaning to read it for a while, and I decided this would be a perfect opportunity for me to read it and let you know what I thought. And I thought it was great. So this book was very well written. It had, I'm not quite sure on the synopsis for the full story, but the basic premise is that there are these two cultures who have a prophecy about, death and destruction. And 1,000 years passes and the time of the prophecy comes, and these people either A, don't remember the prophecy, or B, they have completely forgotten it. And oh, by the way, the two cultures have separated and they know nothing of each other except that they're not friends. So basically, a bunch of people from Zandaria, I'm terrible at that, but they go, they're from the southern lands, sort of deserty lands, and they go north to go and find the people who are meant to help them stop this prophecy. And it doesn't end well. There's a lot of political intrigue, there's difference between cultures, there's some how do you deal with xenophobia. It's a really good sort of exploration of all of these things, and I liked it quite a lot. So I think I liked this book mostly because it had all of these political machinations that were sort of related to this prophecy, but they weren't at all. It was more, you got to see the inner workings of this culture as people tried to figure things out and to go and determine what is best for their society, but they weren't really thinking about the prophecy at all. It was more we need to figure out our own problems, and why would we care about something that's 1,000 years old? Except for the few people who do care about this thing that's 1,000 years old, and they're going off and manipulating events a bit. So it was very interesting. Having done a speed reading, I might have missed a few details, but I think the overall general premise was extremely fascinating, and the characters were very interesting. There were a few characters I had a bit of a hard time trying to keep track of them until about the middle, and when I figured that out, it made things so much easier. But that's because we're dealing with people from the south, and there's a bunch of them, and they have different roles, and then we're dealing with people from the north who are broken into different houses, and they're trying to figure out the political machinations and sort of fix their society. And so when everything started weaving together, it made perfect sense, and it was very interesting. I think I liked the fact that this story, it had the different cultures, but they were actually different. In a lot of fantasy stories, you'll see places that have different cultures, but they are run pretty much the same way. They've got, king, queen, whatever, and then they're broken into nobles and peasants, and it's sort of the same even if they're in different cultures. This story was actually different. The South was based off of Roman culture, and they were sort of they were broken into, everybody was a soldier, and they all knew how to fight. But they had their leaders, they had their holy men who would work in the service of Ilawe and sort of guide the people, but they weren't soldiers, but they were. And so then they believed very much in the art of battle and the honor of war. And then they would interact with people who were broken into the upper and lower classes, not necessarily nobility and peasants, but certainly economic wealth, and dealing with slaves. And okay, what do you believe about slaves? Is this their own fault, or is it the people who capture them? And if they had a chance to fight, would they? And then they went to the north, where things were broken into houses, and it was more to do with subtlety and manipulation and social pressure than it was to do with actual fighting. And it was organized completely different, and it was very interesting. So a lot of work must have been put into creating these different cultures and actually making sure that they were different, because some of the problems that arise from the story come from the misunderstandings that arise between the cultures. One person can't just go to somewhere else and immediately say, oh, well, it's different, but it's actually not. And so I fit in sort of well, and I can adapt very well. This is it's a struggle. They have to learn, they have to understand how things work. It's very interesting, it's very fascinating, and it's very much not built on modern Western ideas. I liked that a lot. This book I would absolutely recommend you read. It is very interesting, it is fun, it takes you through, you don't feel like you're slogging through anything at all. It's got some mystery, it has questions that are left unanswered for book 2, which I enjoyed, and I think this definitely will land on my best reads book list for the year. So definitely give this a shot. I will link Matthew Gilbert's interview in the description. I will link all of his social media links where you can find him, and definitely go check out this book. It is very good. So that's what I've got for you today. Do not be surprised when another book review video comes up on Wednesday. So enjoy, and we'll get back to your regularly scheduled author interviews very soon. I will see you next time. Bye.